What's up guys, Meredith with ExtremeTerrain.com, and today we are checking out the Rough Country Hard Trifold Flip-Up Tonneau Cover fitting all 2020 and newer JT Gladiators. Now this will be a great choice for the JT owner who is in search of a tonneau cover that's going to provide a layer of protection to the items in their bed, offer a complete appearance to the back of their truck, and will offer the flexibility to position this however they need to if you're hauling a variety of cargo day to day or just once in a while. Now, while it does carry all of those benefits, it will simultaneously keep it a little bit lighter on your wallet compared to other options if you're looking for a quality choice as well as a more affordable one. This will offer you that extra toughness out of a cover to resist damage to the cover itself and anything in your bed from harsh weather, and keep out anybody who you don't want in your bed. While this is also solid, this will also be very easy to flip open and access your bed. Now, one of the big benefits here is that it is going to flip up as far as the last panel is concerned when it's completely folded, so you have full access to your bed area if you need to haul anything larger. Now with that, you won't be able to see out of your rear window. However, if you're not using it frequently, you just want the option to use the full space when you need to, this is going to give you that choice. The cover will feature a durable UV protected hard outer layer and a lightweight 6061 aluminum frame, which will hold up pretty well to abuse while also making it very easy to handle. Now this cover will also stay secure when open thanks to the heavy duty nylon straps and really solid buckles here as far as the plastic is concerned and the mounting points are concerned. And you're also going to have some aluminum prop rods to keep the panel up in the back when it is flipped up. This will also have quality seals all around the side made of a rubber material to make sure that the rain and moisture stays out of your bed, and the rails will also be made of a powder coated aluminum material, holding up very well, especially to the elements. Now everything here is going to be completely bolt on, so you also don't have to worry about any drilling or modifying when it comes to your JT. Now this will cost you right around $800. Now compared to others available on the site, I think that this brings a lot to the table for the price point with the durable yet easy to use design with this pull strap here and the ability to flip it out of the way, which some other hard covers may not have. They may not have the option to flip it all the way up, and they may not include something as easy as this. Now it's also going to be a more affordable option for a hardcover, so you don't have to worry about dishing out a lot of cash to get those extra features for your JT. So install here is going to be very straightforward. It's completely bolt on. You don't have to make any modifications. So I'm giving it a 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, only taking about an hour of your time to get this installed. Now, speaking of the install, one of our customers here has put this on their JT and is going to walk you through what that process looks like step by step. So that's going to wrap it up for my review. Let's go ahead and get into the install.
Here are the tools that were used for the Rough Country Tri-Fold Flip-Up Hard Bed Cover for the Jeep Gladiator. Very simple, 5mm hex, and then a pair of scissors.
All right, today we're going to install the Rough Country Tri-Fold Flip-Up Bed Cover on the Gladiator truck bed. We got this product from our friends over at Extreme Terrain, and we're pretty excited to get it installed. All right, so the first part of the instructions say that if the bulkhead, so the front of your bed of your truck, is lower than the side rails, so the left and right side rails, if it's lower than that, then you're going to install this weather stripping on the bulkhead, basically to create a better seal for the hard cover, as there won't be that gap in between the higher side rails and the lower bulkhead. So basically it's just a 3M sticky tape. You're just going to remove the adhesive backer, and you're going to install it on the front of the bulkhead. Whenever you get to the end, it might be longer. Piece of weather stripping might be longer than your bulkhead, so just have a pair of scissors so you can trim it at the end. My truck's bed has bed liner in it, so if your truck did it and this was like exposed paint, maybe you might want to use rubbing alcohol, wipe it down, make sure there's no waxes or anything that could potentially prohibit it from sticking that well. Mine's pretty rough from the bed liner, so didn't really need to do that. And like I said, once you get to the end, it might be longer than your actual bulkhead, so you can just take your scissors and cut off the excess.
That's basically what it's gonna look like. So this is the weather stripping on the front of the truck bed, the bulkhead. It just runs all the way across. Just to create a better seal, as this is higher than the actual bulkhead.
All right, so the second part of the install is you're gonna take your side bed rail and you're going to install it onto the actual side of your truck. And basically you're just gonna need actually the side bed rail, obviously from Rough Country. You're gonna need your clamping system, as I stated earlier, with all the hardware that comes. So you're gonna need 3 clamps per side. So as you see, I got them right here. You got your spinning wheels that come with it as well, and then your actual carriage bolts. And then I have my 5mm hex to help me actually install the clamps. So you're gonna take the side bed rail, and you're just gonna place it against the side of your truck. And you're gonna push it all the way to the back of towards the back of your truck, or I'm sorry, towards the bulkhead of your truck. You're gonna push it as far as it goes. And what I do is I'm gonna flip this up now, and I'm going to install the first piece of the actual clamping system. So the one that goes on the outside that you can actually see as far as the clamps go, it's gonna be the one that has the hole on the bottom and the hole on the side right here. The elongated hole on the side. And you're gonna slide it into the rail of the actual side rail from Rough Country. Don't make the mistake and install it on the front piece right here. You're gonna install it on the furthest back part right there. And you're gonna slide it in. And what I recommend you do is go ahead and take all 3 pieces and slide them all in. Just like that. So I say you get 3 per side, 3 clamps per side. So what they want you to do is you're gonna slide them all the way down towards the bulkhead of the truck. Kind of position one in the middle, and then you want one to be towards the tailgate of the truck. And they recommend, per the instructions, to get this as far back as you can to the tailgate, I guess for better securing purposes. So once you do that, you can lay it back down. And then you're actually going to install the back of the clamp. All right, so to install the clamps on the actual bed rail of your truck, you're gonna need the backing piece right here. You're gonna need your little wheel, and you're gonna need your carriage bolt, and then I have my 5mm hex. So the way you do it, I recommend you just take the wheel and go ahead and get that started down here on the bottom hole. Just get it started. You don't want it protruding out the bottom because it might stop you from installing this easily. So just get it started. Take the back. So as you see right here, it's kind of serrated right there. So basically you're going to install that on your actual truck bed underneath where you can see the paint of your truck, hopefully. The way you do that is, right here on the back, like I stated earlier, Rough Country wants you to get the clamp on the back toward your tailgate as far back as you can. So basically what I see is there's 2 bolts back here on the actual truck bed, and basically I'm just gonna put it in between those. It's kind of hard to see on camera, I'm sure, but once you're underneath here, you'll be able to see it. And you're just gonna position it in place like that. So as you kind of see right there. And then you're going to get your carriage bolt, and you're going to slide it through and get it started with the threads. Take your 5mm. Tighten it up, obviously. Just make sure you're in the right position. So as I stated earlier, on the back of the truck, to get it furthest back, there's 2 bolts on the side of your actual truck. So I got it in between those. It looks good. Yeah, it looks pretty good right there. That's pretty snug right there, just with that one. And it looks like it's seated on there pretty good. So once you got that seated on there pretty good, you can work with this adjustment later, and I'll talk about what you do with that. But you kind of leave that as is, just as long as this is tight and snug on there pretty good. And then you'll just start working on the other 2 for this side. So I got my 2 wheels, 2 carriage bolts, my 2 back wheels, and my 5. So same thing. I'm gonna go ahead and get this threaded just to start it off. It's just a little easier. go. And I say this is gonna be the middle, so once you kind of get the back clamp in there just in place, we can slide around and just find the middle spot. And that looks to be about the middle. Grab your carriage, bolt, right through. Get it nice and snug. All right. Move on to the next one. Same thing. Get this started. From there. Alright, so I got the back clamp in place. Go ahead and get this carriage bolt threaded. And there we have it. All 3 clamps are installed. So, as I stated earlier, these little spin wheels right here. So basically, if you look at the top of your bed rail from Rough Country, the side rail right here, and you notice that it's starting to kind of come up like that a little bit, like away from the actual side of your bed, you can actually turn this and tighten it, and it should apply pressure or tension, and it should start to move it where it makes it flat and even with the side of your truck. And it's on there good, so we'll repeat the same thing on the next side. Alright, so once you got the Rough Country side rails on securely, nice and fastened up, next thing to do is actually put the trifold hardcover on the bed of your truck. So the way we do that is you're gonna find the front of it, the one that goes towards the bulkhead of the back of the truck. That would be the one that has the actual buckles right there. So the key with this is whenever you put it on the back of the bulkhead of your truck, there's this rubber flap, like a weather stripping. See right here? Right there. This rubber flap, you're going to want to put that over the back of the bulkhead of the truck, and this will give you some more weather resistant or weather protection. Placing it down gently. Take that weather stripping, like I said, and try to lay it over the back. Alright, so once I have both of the Rough Country side rails installed, they're fully seated and snug down. I placed the Rough Country tri-fold flip up hardcover on the back of the truck, and it's just resting right there. So the key with this is you're going to make sure that once you get this front portion of the hardcover towards the bulkhead of the truck, it's this rubber flap, like a weather stripping. You want to try to ensure that this rubber flap goes over the back of the bulkhead of the truck to create more of a weather seal for you. So whenever I move this forward, I'm gonna make sure that this flaps down and over. Also, the next pieces of hardware that you're gonna need are the black long carriage bolts. These go in through these holes right here on the back of the hardcover, and they're gonna go through the actual Rough Country side rails on each side. And I'll show you that more closely here in a second. But first, let's move this forward and let's get this rubber weather stripping over the back of the bulkhead. All right, so I'm gonna move this forward as far as I can, and I'm gonna get this weather strip to go over the back of the bulkhead. I think the easiest way to do is to get it far back towards the bulkhead and flip the weather stripping up. Place it against the back of the window as such. And press it down and over. All right, the next step is to install the carriage bolts. You're gonna have to play with it a little bit. Let's get it in the right position to actually fall through the holes in the side rail. There we go. So I just felt it drop through the hole that is in the side rail. Got the first one in. Checking the weather stripping, looks good on that side. And now I'm going to play with this side. Try to get it to line up. And I just felt the fall through. So both carriage bolts are down through the hard cover and through the side rail. And that weather stripping is over the back of the bulkhead. So we'll move on to the next step.
Before moving on to the next step, I just want to show you kind of what that weather stripping looks like up close in person over the back of the bulkhead. As you see it right there. And then that is the carriage bolt that's going through the hard cover, and it also is going through the side rail as well on both sides. All right, once we have the carriage bolts through the hard tri-cover, we're now going to go on to the next step of securing those carriage bolts. And the way we do that is you're going to take one of the wheels that come with the hardware, and you're going to thread it on. After you do the wheel, there's a wing nut that is also included, and you're going to thread the wing nut on as well. It should look something like that. And you'll repeat it for the other side as well.
All right, with both sides securely fastened for the carriage bolts and little wheel and wing nut. All right, now that we have the carriage bolts securely fastened through the hard cover, through the side rails with those wing nuts and that wheel, we're now gonna move this cover, flip it up, press it gently against the back of the window. And we're gonna install this drain tube into the brass fitting that is on the side rails all the way in the back. And the drain point on the Gladiator truck is right here next to your strapping points. There's a hole right there that will drain the excess water. So simply secure the tube over the brass fitting. And the key with this is you don't want to get it kinked up. So it seems like it's a little bit longer than what it needs to be. So I can actually trim it with a pair of scissors and just cut off a little excess and then slip it through that hole right there. All right, with the pair of scissors, it appears that probably can take off about that much. Snag it through. And I have no kinks. It's all the way through. And you just repeat that with the other side as well. Now that we have the drain tubes installed on both sides out the bed of the truck, as you see, we're now going to move over and secure these retaining straps. And basically you're just going to take it right there where you see that opening on the side rail and just slip it through. And that's just a safety mechanism, and you repeat it for both sides. And they're in there. Next thing we're going to do after we install the straps onto the side rails is we're going to install the actual brace that holds up the hard cover whenever you need to use the entire bed of your truck. The way we do that is there's two ends to this brace. There's this end that has the lever as such, and then the other end there's actually a button type lever. The button type lever will actually be utilized for the top of your hard cover. So on the little metal piece that is on your side rail, we're going to install the strut as such. And when you stow it, there's actually a clip on the side rail as well to stow it whenever you're not utilizing it. And to secure it, you would actually pull your cover down slightly to you and secure it in that fashion. All right, as you see, I have the hard cover securely fastened with the struts holding it in place. This is a benefit of this hard cover from Rough Country, as it's the flip up one. So if you need to utilize the full length of your bed, you can with this hard cover. As you see, you can drive like that with it up. All right, so we're pretty much done with the install. The final step would be just to make sure that it closes properly. You just want to make sure that all the latches on each side securely go down as they should. And make sure they tailgate close. And that's pretty much it with the install of the Rough Country Tri-Fold Flip.
So that is going to wrap it up for my review and the install of this Rough Country Hard Tri-Fold Flip-Up Tonneau Cover fitting all 2020 and newer JT Gladiators, and you can find this right here at extremeterrain.com.